And our next guest is really in the same vein there, and someone who's had really a passion for this for a long time. Quake Pletcher also has one of the most interesting first names in the history of the human species. Quake, how are you doing? Welcome to the program.
So yeah, thank you for the intro. I'm thrilled to be here. Really excited to talk about the topics here. It's just such a fast evolving space, but certainly the traction and the benefits that are accruing to patients in this space are real. I love Priscilla's new title. Realization is the name of the game these days. It's not all future driven.
Good for you. Yeah. And first, just to lead things off, give us about a 1-minute overview of yourself and your journey to get to where you are now today. Starting with, I think most importantly on everyone's mind today is, how the heck did you get a name like Quake?
I got it when I was a much younger man traveling around the world, and it's stuck somehow. It's a good brand because I like to shake things up. So I think that's why I still have it. But my journey to digital health is, I think a lot of people end up in digital health in fairly non-traditional ways, since it didn't really exist when my career started. But I have been in sourcing and finance roles in the pharmaceutical industry for well over a decade. Outside of my experience in pharma, I was in nonprofit oncology cancer research and involved in a tech startup. So I love where I've landed right now. I think this is by far the most exciting role that I've had in my career. Being able to leverage the resources of a large pharmaceutical company to bring innovation to life for patients. Its mission, its entrepreneurial mindset, and it's really, really challenging. So, what I've done here now is had a role at Lilly where I work with our external innovation partners to make sure that we create the space for them to innovate. And at the same time, I'm working with particularly our oncology and obesity business units to make sure that they have sound, thoughtful strategies for how to apply digital solutions to meet their business objectives.
That's brilliant. And so want to dive into a little bit more about your understanding of digital in the future, but still want to understand how you got the name Quake. Where did Quake come from? And
well, Quake was when I was in West Africa, and it means you were short for Kweku, which means born on Wednesday, which I found. Everybody here Americanized it to just Quake.
That is brilliant. Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. Love it. That is absolutely brilliant, and love the that story. I think that does ring true. I think, and the fact that you're born on Wednesday and you like to shake things up is fantastic. So look, we've got a lot of questions coming from the audience, but I think one of the ones that are kind of in the thread of all the questions is, really from your perspective, how is digital, from your perspective and what you've seen over the last 20 years here, being used for women's health and mental health to help people with their therapeutic adherence? We know that's a major issue, not just in clinical trials, but overall. And digital, with the last couple of years of the virtualization of the clinical trial, the virtualization of healthcare delivery, has become a really synonymous with what we're doing with therapy adherence. Where have you seen the biggest impact made in that?
Yeah, no, really good question. It's funny, when I reflected back when I was much younger at Lilly in my first tour of duty, I was put on a project to look at adherence for an oral anti-cancer agent. And I was stunned to see, 1 in 3 people were not adherent. And this was cancer, it was life-saving, and it really didn't compute. And now that I'm back in the space again, to see that some of those numbers are still similar is really devastating, because we're not conveying the value of the innovation from our molecules to patients. And so but the thing is, we are now actually able to touch the lives of patients much more richly. We have these digital solutions that are available. And when we think about, a lot of these therapeutics that are oral, you go from, let's say breast cancer, where you've gone through this very intensive treatment regimen where you've had a lot of high touch care, and it's surgery, it's radiation, it's chemo, and it kicks your butt. It is devastating physically, psychologically, across the gamut. but it's high touch and you have a lot of really, really caring providers there by your side. And but if you're in the, oral agent and you're taking that at home, some of that support is gone, but you're still living with a disease that affects you physically and mentally and emotionally. And so we're really excited about some of the things that we can do with the digital solutions that extend the ability to provide care and solutions that are relevant for those patients. What we've seen with some of these digital therapeutics and wellness solutions that our companions are, we are deploying them on our clinical trials. We talk with patient advocate groups, and they did challenge us to do better by the patients that are helping us deliver innovation by giving them better support tools. And so we're really liking the fact that these wellness solutions help them get the right mindset, help them connect with similarly situated peers to navigate their disease and share notes, that there are real mechanisms of action that are being deployed that help them navigate their disease and their treatment. So that is incredibly exciting. And obviously we benefit because the more people we can keep in and retain on study, the better the results, the more compelling, the sooner we get innovation to market. On the flip side, we are also in the space of working, and I want to mention, right, like breast cancer for us is a really attractive place to enter a lot of the digital innovation, because we know women have been really, really strongly engaged with digital solutions. So it's a great place to de-risk these and learn, because we're launching into communities that have shown they're predisposed to actually engaging. But we're also thinking about, on our side, the disease is one thing, the treatments and the side effects of treatment, some of those components. How do you build resiliency? How do you actually understand your disease better? By giving them really good tools to sort of collect information about how they're navigating their disease, passive collection of that data. So those experiences we think are going to be very important for the women who are facing this disease and navigating it, and their well-being, right? Because ultimately, right, we all want to have quality of life, and just battling the disease with all of the toxicity and challenges that are associated with that, we got to give them better tools. And we're really, really excited about the suite of digital therapeutics in this space that are available.
Yeah, and there's really, I think you talked about that when we look at digital therapeutics that are out there, when it comes to cancer and mental health and women's health, there are so many nice digital products that form really good relationships with molecule interventions. And so that's clearly a big part of that. Where do you see this going with AI and other digital interventions in the future? We've got about a minute left. Sorry.
Yeah, no, really good question. I'll tell you, there are two things that I'm probably most excited about from my position in pharma. One is looking at some of the large players, the Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google engagement, right? I love that they're getting their consumer experience they bring, the analytics they bring. They are also taking these digital innovators and they're creating an exit strategy and pathway, which I think is just wonderful to continue to sort of keep our innovation vibrant. So watching how they mingle in the ecosystem and enable that, I think is going to be really, really important to watch. But the other thing is where we live in sort of making sure, I think pharma has long had both the clinical and ethical expertise to navigate these things and bring clinical grade, high clinical standards to bear, and deep disease insights are going to be really, really important for the future to sort of, again, fulfill the promise of digital. Again, I think we're kind of we've kind of gone through the snake oil stage. And so I really, really like the suite of solutions that are out there, but we do need to pull them up, I think, the next level. And I think pharma has a very strong role, and Lilly's happy to play that role.
Brilliant. Well, look, Quake, really appreciate that's a really great response too. I think just diving into that, would love to talk a lot longer about that, but we'll have to do a publication on it or something instead for right now. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Quake. Thank you all very much for us. Thank you, Stan, for the opportunity to present.
Looking forward to working. Taking care. Bye-bye. And again, Quake there from Lilly, a company that's been in this space for decades as a brand really leading the way in women's health, mental health, and certainly in cancer too.